chose not to come home last night. And my anxiety right now is a little high.
Last night.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Talk to you guys obviously about Married at First Sight. We're going to talk to you guys about Miles and Karen. We're going to do the full review. If you haven't watched part 1, go and watch it as well. Guys, you already know what it is, baby. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of your returnees, well, you already know what it is, baby. Send them back to the manufacturer, baby. Mineral can. You understand? You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Alright, cool. So, it's mad. Alright, cool. So just talking obviously about the Miles and Karen situation, I think what we are learning from the situation is that, you know, it's hard to back Karen in these circumstances. After watching the whole show, it's hard to back her. We saw some points and pieces where we saw some effort and we saw some push for her to get closer and intimate with Miles. But I really want to break it down, give you some body language at the very beginning before we go into actual review. So let's just go to obviously the scene where Karen actually comes back home. I didn't even know Karen didn't come home last night. Excuse me? You didn't come home last night?
Apartment with Miles. I decided to stay at my place. He made me really upset with some of the comments that he made and things that he...
Watching them, I think the first thing I noticed was that the distance between the two of them. You already know how I feel about when you sit on the sofa and couples that are really in tune with one another, their body language is key. Okay, I said about this in the last one where Armani and Woody were, their body language, it showed you straight away that they were trying to be as close as possible. Miles and Karen are oceans wide. I could fit a bus through the gap between the two of them, alright? Which let me know the conversation, even though it was personal for Karen, she was keeping her distance. She didn't want to get any closer. She's still got a problem with intimacy, still got a problem with getting close to Miles in an emotional sense. So you see her on one side, you see her on one side. But you see his arm on the back of the sofa, going across towards her. And you can see that she's just out of range of his fingertips. It's on purpose.
I don't know, for me, in that moment, I felt unsafe.
Okay, she doesn't want to get into arm's reach. She wants to get into arm's length. It's a conscious decision to make sure that, listen, I don't want to get too close to you, right? But then as she begins to explain, she actually does close the gap a little bit. I believe she gets close enough just to be in arm's reach, but again, not necessarily close that they are showing intimacy in that respect. There's still a huge gap and distance between them. And so when I saw that and the facial expressions of Miles, I think Miles, at this point, fed up. And I said it from the review earlier. I said there's a ticking time bomb that's on this relationship, and the ticking time bomb is simply how long can Miles be patient with the slow pace of Karen? How long can he continue being this great gentleman with slow paced Karen? And the reason why it's going to be very, very much more difficult is because of the position that Miles holds Karen in. He thinks she's a special beaut. He thinks that she's a beautiful gal. He thinks that she maybe even slightly, maybe he might be punching above his weight. And therefore, because of that thought process, the way that he's looking at Karen, an impatience will breed. So maybe it's where his normal natural patience, like he did with a 2-year relationship that he had with an ex-girlfriend or whatever, that patience may not come into play here. Why? Simply because of the way that he views Karen in comparison to himself. It will make him more impatient. You see, the more that you consider to be catching a big fish, the more impatient people become. Why? Because they know there's a narrow window to secure you, right? They feel like there's a narrow window to secure you. It's almost like catching a big fish. You got to do it quick, fast, and efficient. Do you know what I mean? Like, the longer this thing goes on, like, the tired you become, the more, do you know what I mean? Like, more than likely, this fish is going to get away, right? And so for people, like Miles is doing right now, he's trying to reel Karen in. And that impatience will begin to kick in. It will kick in because you want to have this thing bad. Cause I'm bad, I'm really, really bad. Alright, do you know what I mean? And so on that talk, obviously they were having that conversation. Karen announced to him that, she felt unsafe in that moment due to his behavior coming out of the blue, right? And I don't want to dismiss Karen's feelings. If you feel unsafe, okay, if you felt unsafe, I don't think any of us should really be ever countering that and saying anything. I think
I don't know, for me, in that moment, like I felt unsafe.
What the problem here is that what is unsafe here, and I think there are different definitions for different people, right? When someone hears unsafe, they're thinking about your physical safety, and some people feel unsafe is like you are. Some people say that's their emotional safety. But all in all, the words "I don't feel safe," okay, it's often in alignment with predatory.
Knowing someone for a few weeks, whether you're my husband or not, does not really grant you access to me physically. So I felt disrespectful.
Behavior. You know, that someone's being predatory in a sense, or even being very scary and vulgar and over the top, and you're not sure of what their person's actions may be. I don't see Miles like that. I don't think any of us see Miles on that wavelength. We're not dismissing Karen's feelings, but we don't see Miles' behavior like that. And I felt like the word unsafe, especially with somebody who works in schooling, you know, this is a guy who works with vulnerable people, okay? This is somebody who works with vulnerable people in our society. To call him to say that he felt unsafe is a big statement. So again, it's not dismissing her feelings, but more of a case of that's a big statement to make, that you felt unsafe. Do you know what I mean? But again, I can't dismiss her feelings. What I would say is that, and I didn't want to say it, but I gotta say it, because I feel like whenever I don't say it, it always comes up later on anyway. I feel like Karen is grabbing power in this relationship. I feel like Karen is grabbing power in this relationship. This whole conversation that she had with Miles, okay, this deep talk that she had with Miles after she was out and about, and we'll address that out and about in a bit, okay?
I really need you to understand, like that was a boundary for me, and it can't happen again. And I want both of us to be.
So after she said, obviously, it was a boundary for me and can't happen again. And, you know, it was the way that the tone of it, she said it, like almost like she was telling him off. And, you know, I know that she doesn't think that Miles is that kind of guy, right? I believe she knows that Miles is not that type of guy. But the fact that she said it in that tone, very much like I said to you guys, I think it was a few episodes back, with the whole mango situation on the table, right? And I said it to myself, but I edited it out. I said, oh, the way she asked for the mango, can I have your mango? And he said, oh, wait, you can have, like, how much you want? And she was like, 3/4 or whatever. It's the way she said it. I said, that seems odd. The way she said it, it's like you're trying to, almost like you're trying to instruct him.
What's up?
Can you come here?
Yes, ma'am.
And direct him and command him. And I was like, I'm not sure about this behavior, right? And I'm seeing it again, a little bit of a tinge of it here. I felt like this whole conversation that she had with Miles was a power play, some of it, and a lot of it, and some of it, right? Just because of the way that she was saying certain things. Now, again, I want to reiterate, she also said as well that, being husband or boyfriend doesn't grant you access to me physically. Now, I agree with that. Again, guys, I'm an advocate. You don't know this already. Look, husband, boyfriend, friend, it doesn't mean that someone else's body is your property. You can't access it whenever you want. You can't go after it whenever you want. Now, has Miles ever done that? No. But this is why I said that this whole I want a masculine man, I want the man to lead kind of nonsense, right, goes out the window. Because now the brother has to rethink his whole strategy and has to think about every movement he makes. Has to be very conscious now. Because, again, obviously, I don't agree necessarily with the whole writing on the calendar situation. It wouldn't have been my thing. It wouldn't have been my thing to do. And if I did do it, it would be funny. I'm just going to be real with you. But, obviously, it's going to be very hard for him to lead because he's going to have to always double check what he's doing. And he actually isn't in the lead. He's not leading the relationship. He's never been leading the relationship. The moment she saw his Instagram, he was on the back foot. Okay? The moment she was crying at the altar, the way she was crying, he was on the back foot. Okay? The moment that your mum tells you, Miles, her mum tells you that if you pressure her, she shuts down, is the moment you were losing ground. Right? And now we're in a situation where she's gone out the house. Okay, you guys had a little situation where the calendar situation. She left the house, didn't tell you, obviously didn't text you where she was going. Just, bruv, she was out and about and in an oughts and a dortsy thing. You get me? Not saying anything and didn't come back the whole entire night. Knowing how your anxieties and your depression can be.
Got home last night, and my anxiety right now is a little high.
Last night, I did not stay at the apartment with Miles.
This girl decided to do her own kind of thing, right? So now this is looking like a power play, and it can go into abusive behavior. I'm not saying she is. It can go into abusive behavior because it's like your intention. You could be intentionally doing it to grab power from the relationship. What power am I talking about? I'm talking about the fact that when, and I'm going to say this again, I believe Karen's last relationship, whatever she had with that guy, it goes deeper than just had the cheating and had a baby. I really think it goes deeper than that. I really think that whatever her situation was, there was some physical or emotional or sexual abuse. And the reason why I say that is because the words unsafe that she used in this scenario, okay, in this scene, is odd. Okay, for her to mention, obviously, your boyfriend or husband doesn't give you guaranteed access to me physically. Again, the way the wording is put, it's odd. It sounds like somebody who has been violated in the past and is making sure that you don't get the chance in this scenario. You don't get a chance to do that to her again. And if that is the case, then we've got a whole different ball game, because now you need to explain that. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is viable information. I think if that was the case, I think all of us can go, whoa, okay, get it. But you saying this constant slow, nobody's getting it, darling, because you're not even answering questions about intimacy. You're saying cross that bridge when we get there. What, how do we get there? Oh, well, you know, and you dodge it. So for Miles, there's a lot of confusion in his head right now. And even on that sofa, if you watch him, like at several points, he's looking at her like, what? Like, bruv, like, he's so stuck. You can look at his face. He's pissed. He apologizes, but he's pissed. He apologizes, but he's annoyed. Look at his facial features, right?
If you're willing, I'm willing to do what it takes to earn that trust back. As
a boundary for me, and it can't happen again. Later on, then he actually sat up, right? He actually sat up in accordance with that, and then he apologized for breaking her trust and said he will do whatever he can to gain her trust. At that point, I knew, brother, you lost too much ground, man. You're losing too much ground. Why am I saying that? Nothing wrong with apologizing, nothing wrong with saying sorry, but if we're not going to address the fact that you went out, didn't come home, but I'm coming to apologize to you about the way I behaved yesterday, about the calendar situation, which I was bantering about. And obviously, it depends on who the person is. It didn't work with you, that's fine. But she's not going to come in and apologize for the fact that she didn't come and tell you where she was last night, that she was out and about last night. My friend, grab your balls by the horn. Is it correct? Grab your balls by the... Maybe not. Just grab your balls, okay? And start, and you have to say what you're expecting. You cannot expect silently. If you expect silently, you will be annoyed, you'll be hurt, and you'll be frustrated. But you'll be the one to blame because you never explained your expectations. The same thing they said to you earlier on with Pastor Cal. You must set a tone. When you set the tone, the person must adhere to that tone. There are certain things that can't happen in a relationship.
The spirit of forgiving and being more attentive to each other's needs. I'm willing to get a little bit closer.
And this is where I felt it was a power play even more. She said, in the spirit of wanting more, affection, you know, I'm willing to get close, right? She said, I'm willing to get close, not wanting. He said, in the spirit of wanting more affection. So now it's talking about you. In the spirit of wanting more affection, I'm willing to get more close. So not wanting, willing. And the reason why I make a distinction here about wording, wanting would donate that you want to do that. Willing is that I'm subject to your will. Wanting is I want to do this. This is of my own desire to do. The will, I'm willing to do it, is at a submission or a request of you. That's why she put a header there, in the spirit of wanting more affection. You see, so now she's guiding the relationship. Oh, so you want more affection? Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Right? Now, it could be seen, obviously, like, you know, it could be the case of like she actually is trying to be more affectionate, right? But again, I'm taking the whole context of the conversation, the fact that she was away last night, and the big switch of energy, the whole seriousness of the big switch of energy of, in the spirit of affection, you know, in the spirit of affection, I'm willing to get close, so not wanting. Okay.
The spirit of forgiving and being more attentive to each other's needs. I'm willing to get a little bit closer.
Forgiving, you know, in the spirit of forgiving, sorry, I'm willing to get closer. I said, in the spirit of forgiving, I'm willing to get closer. And then she touched his arm cheekily, right? And then said, you probably got so many feelings right now. And for me, again, it was almost like, is she mocking it a little bit? Oh, you probably got so many feelings right now. I don't know, I felt like something just didn't feel right about that comment. I'm struggling to find out when I feel certain things, I can't articulate why I feel certain things. Normally I can, but there's odd times where, like the situation with Karin and Miles, something just doesn't sit right. And the way she said that comment about,
I probably got so many feelings right now.
I just heard the words control manipulation. And look, when people get hurt in the past, yeah, they can end up hurting other people's. Hurt people. You understand? And so you may see the quiet, innocent quietness, but I'm seeing that blood. Listen, this girl knows exactly what she's about. She knows what she's doing. You know what I mean? Like, she knows what she's doing. Also, you know, the fact that she decided not to come home, I think is, again, a power move. To gain some level of control in a relationship and to reset boundaries and to make sure he knows who's boss. Now, I know it sounds very obtuse and raw, like, how is that? How are you going to say that, bro? We do this oftentimes subconsciously. It's not a conscious thing that you think, I need to reset things. I need to make sure he knows who the boss is. Sometimes it's a subconscious behavior that we just act out. Yeah? That we want to try and sometimes re-establish our power in the relationship. If we feel powerless, we try to re-establish our power. Do you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, the fact that she felt upset and ran away.
And she was so upset, and she chose not to come home that night.
How made you feel?
Bro, I was pissed.
It's a big issue for Miles because he then ended up feeling anxious because he was obviously like, where is this girl? Like, bruv, like, you're not telling me where you are, blah, blah. And he said as well, I don't know if you're safe.
I'm like, is she safe? Was she trying to come home? Was she not trying to come home? I was like, whatever. I don't want to bother her because she's already said the little things already bother her, so I know pestering her about it.
I don't know.
Which means you didn't message him. Like, he doesn't know if you're safe. You didn't message him. You didn't let him know. You just ran away. Now, that's a scary thing because that's an indication of behaviors of how she will handle difficult circumstances in future. I always say this, how you start is how you're going to finish. If you're running away from problems, you're going to run away from problems in the future. And we've seen this. The way that she dodged questions in the last episode about intimacy, now she's physically dodged him, okay, and ran away. Now, again, I understand what people say about being safe. I'm not trying to kill that. I'm not trying to deny that. But what I am saying, and I think, do you know what? Not feeling safe in that moment, I understand. I just felt like there was something not quite right about it.
But like, we just kissed, for the first time a few days ago, and
wonders where the sex talk actually came from, because obviously they had just had their first kiss. And she's thinking in her head that Miles really isn't that patient as he keeps saying. But you know what? By your friend, by you, by Pastor Cal, y'all all been telling him to express what he wants. And now he expresses what he wants, asking questions. There is a big issue. Do you feel me? The guy's done what we have said we wanted to do. Pascal, yourself, Karen, you asked, and a friend, you asked him to be more assertive, to be a leader, do manly things, right? And now he's telling you what he wants. You're not responding with some answers for him, right? And like I said, a man can't lead if you're sitting in the driver's seat. So, and he said it to Woody later on. Bro, I'm not in control. She is. She's leading all proceedings. So at what point can he showcase this leadership? At what point? Y'all saw the kiss that was happening at the park. She had to cover his eyes. Blood. If that don't tell you where the brother is, then I don't know what will tell you where the brother is. The brother is in a phantom zone right now, blood. Between the friendship zone and relationship zone. He's stuck in between that phantom zone right now.
Is after this, and I don't really know if we can move past it.
For her to say, obviously, she doesn't know if she can actually, move past it. I really think that this girl is using all the excuses in the book not to be in this relationship, bro. Going by what they're showing us as edits, I feel like she doesn't want to be in this relationship. I feel like she just, like I said, I always say this, I think she is trying to see if she can find the attraction. And since she can't find the physical attraction, it's not happening. Now, she said, obviously, she finds her husband attractive. She said that, right? She said that before the yoga. She said that, right? But we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that. It's not translating. Again, we're trying to give it a benefit of the doubt, but it's not. And then another scene that was happening was when they were in the house and then went to bed. I think it's interesting when Miles made a point about the fact that, you know what, he didn't know her favourite colour, etc, etc. And then obviously they had a conversation about favourite colour, favourite food, etc, etc, right? But I think it's quite interesting the fact that Miles doesn't know that, though. Because Miles is a very inquisitive person. We saw that on the first night of the wedding. He's got questions. So the fact that he didn't know those simple things is a scary indicator, and maybe an indication of the fact that there is a lot of guarding from Karin, and although they're spending time together, there's not a lot of, you know, obviously a colour is not a very big thing, right? But it might indicate that there's a lack of, again, even when I say intimacy, in the form of letting me into your world and who you are, letting me know the mental stimulations that go behind that. Do you get me? Mental intimacy. There may not be a lot of that going on. There may not be a lot of emotion, well, we really know there's not a lot of emotional intimacy going on as well, because she doesn't like feelings. But you know, it's obviously an indication that there needs to be more vaster conversation going on, right? There must be more conversation going on. And then he made a point about the fact that he said about the red tux. Because he said obviously her favorite color was red, and he goes, obviously, what, red like your husband?
Color that your husband wore when you first saw him.
Sure, you can take it there if you want.
There we go.
Birthmarks.
I have birthmark on the back of my head.
Kind of tux, etc, etc. And then she played it off instead of saying, obviously, look, you know, oh yeah, like my husband's red tux, you know, you look good in that suit or whatever, blah blah, throwing a compliment. She just goes, yeah, that red tux, da da da. Right, she makes a comment, an offbeat comment, basically, right? Again, quashing it, an opportunity to give words of affirmation. She quashed it. I honestly think that whatever happened to her in the past relationship is finished her, bruv, because a simple compliment here would have sufficed. Nothing heavy, nothing big, nothing destroying. You know, just a simple thing. You know, and then she said, obviously, you know, later on they were in the bed, and she likes snuggling with people, not with people, but with things. All right, at first, right? She made it as almost like a joke, okay? And then she then said, obviously, yeah, I like snuggling with you.
So,
I like to snuggle
and take the cover
with things, not people.
You like snuggling with me, you just act like you don't.
Yep, I like snuggling with you.
You do.
Right? And then she goes on to try and do some affirmations. And she's like, see, I try to give you affirmations. And the truth of the matter is that particular scene, you know, if Miles didn't understand that that was an affirmation, we got a problem.
You see, I try to give you some affirmations.
What, that you do like snuggling with me?
Yeah, did that work?
I didn't know if it was real or not.
Oh, I'm gonna keep trying.
Karin, like, she's beautiful.
He didn't understand it, which means you didn't do it. You know what I mean? You didn't do very well. It wasn't communicated effectively. And the reason why, again, it's not because she doesn't want to do it. It's not befitting for her. You know what I mean? Like, the guy didn't even know that was an affirmation. Do you know what I'm saying? Why? Because that's not about him. You know what I'm saying? If you said, oh, you are a great snuggler, that would be a word of affirmation. You know what I'm saying? That would be affirming. Not saying, obviously, no, I like to hug things. Actually, no, I like to hug people. I like to hug you. Like, that's not an affirmation. That's what you like to do. And then he said, obviously, that he gets butterfly. And that's why I said to you guys, I think he really is head over heels for this.
Karin, like, she's beautiful, obviously, but I think also, like, she's just fun to be around. I still feel like I have butterflies sometimes. Like, sometimes I wake up and I realize, like, oh, snap, this is my wife, you know?
This girl, but she's not on that same level for him. She doesn't feel the exact same way. and yet he's there already. And so what's concerning about that situation is, again, back to my original point earlier when I said the fact that I feel like he's deeper in liking for her, and it will cause an impatience for him. Is that when you like somebody so much, the calm down can be very heavy too. When the glasses come off, it can be very heavy too when the glasses come off. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, I want to deal with a barbershop a little bit later on for them. But what was interesting for us, I think, for us to see, is the fact that if Karin decided not to come home one night and Miles didn't address it, he's actually causing himself more problems. What you don't deal with now, you will deal with later. When you don't cut off the head of a serpent, it grows into a dragon later on. And so you must deal with the root cause early rather than later. I really think that obviously with Miles and Karin, the greatest thing here is the fact that they are gonna have to take it slow with this issue of sex. But it's odd. There's another story in there, and I think like it's not been explored. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna leave it there. If you want the barbershop review, we're gonna do it with Miles and Woody, and we'll comment on that. Let us know down below your thoughts as well in the comment section as well. Appreciate you guys to locked and loaded. More love, little bit book. Appreciate y'all.